It just shut off. The little video, I thought it would like fade out, but apparently
Oh,
not.
okay.
Well, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to another Workshop Wednesday brought to you by School of Bookkeeping, where it's casual conversations for serious workflows. And lo and behold, we had an awesome topic to discuss with you today, but leave it to Intuit to throw out an announcement that comes out of left field. Since we are in the throes of baseball season, we'll use lots of baseball analogies.
Yeah, we just had
Left.
baseball championships here at our house. It was cool.
Oh, nice. Yes, I noticed the All Stars. Was it
Yep, the All-Stars. Yep.
that's their team name or their aspiration?
They were the Tigers all season, and then they made it to the blue team for All-Stars.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, very exciting stuff for the kiddos there. Um, so we're on this journey of understanding the challenges with PayPal and all of those things, and we will continue with this journey even after this session, because we'll want to be talking about using PayPal in a multi-currency type of situation where that's possible, because during this the series that we've been doing, I've been digging in deeper with some of the clients that I've been working with, and peeling back the layers of the onion, and there have been some tears. Which,
Isn't it fun? And we kind of got into the multi-currency a little bit last week,
yeah,
but then I think you told me offline that you had a good solution, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about that.
yeah, because this sent me down a rabbit hole to really kind of see, well, what's already out there, as far as learnings and articles and those types of things. And there's a little bit of information out there when you're using PayPal in multiple currencies on expenses. So when you're buying something on that, but in this particular situation that I've really been kind of digging into, um, he's one of those people that does both of expenses through PayPal and receiving money through their Shopify checkout through PayPal,
No, we
and
love
then,
that.
and then adding this additional layer of complexity of multiple currencies on both the expenses and the sales side. And so it is quite a conundrum.
Yeah, it's kind
And
of
there's
like you said before, the biggest risk is duplication.
yeah,
And I was really looking forward to talking about PayTraQer, and that's another thing too, is when you're using these connectors, you do have a risk of
yeah,
duplication. So it's really important to understand the ins and the outs. But boy, we have a more exciting topic to talk about.
yeah. So I do want to talk a little bit about PayTracker, and we will probably dig in a little bit deeper into that. But we use it here personally at School of Bookkeeping, and PayTracker is an application that is created by, and I don't know how to pronounce it, and this might be the question of the day. How do you pronounce Sassant? Is it
I say
Sassant or
Sassant, but I
Sassant?
have heard I have heard some doozies, and I have a really
Yeah,
funny story about it. But I say Sassant.
yeah. Saasant.
And just FYI, if you call their number and you get their recorded information about something, they say Sassant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if they pronounce it that way, then we'll pronounce it that way. But Sassant is a company that deals a lot with import export automation, and they've created an application specifically for getting transactions from online sales channels into QuickBooks Online.
And I use
And
it.
what's that?
I use it.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty neat. Um, and but you got to understand how it's what where it's what lane it occupies, right?
Hmm.
And as you had mentioned,
I
um,
thought you were going to say
uh,
how it stacks up.
oh, right. Um, well, just like what we talked about before, of like when you're using QuickBooks Online and using the Connect with PayPal application, if you've got something else that's bringing in information, you could potentially duplicate the transactions. You've got QuickBooks being the dumping ground of both of these things coming in, and then potentially having duplicated revenue, sales transactions, those types of things,
Yeah.
right? So,
That's really harsh,
um,
though, that you're calling QuickBooks Online a dumping ground. Tell me how you really feel about it.
well, that's kind of where things end up, right? It's kind of like the end of the road for everything,
Yes.
and it's people like yourself that have to sort through that dumpster fire of of transactions and like peel back the layers, and oftentimes you feel like I always explained it to people who, when they called in, it's like when a police officer comes to the scene of an accident in an intersection, and they have to kind of piece things together of, oh, how did that car end up in that tree? Well, let's start to peel back the layers of the, okay, let's see the tire tracks, and we measure this sort of thing. And that's what you end up doing is kind of like being this forensic um, accountant, right? Where you're trying to like, okay, well, how did this get entered this way?
Oh, I love
And,
that, though. I love searching for a needle in the haystack.
right. And your clients are better off for that.
I hope
because
so.
of
But I
because
think
of
most
that.
of them don't care.
Yeah.
They're like,
Well,
I don't care how I don't wait, what's the saying? This is what my husband says. I don't care how the time I don't care how the watch works. I just want to know what time it is.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And most clients and most business owners have far too many hats to wear to really, get into that minutia of that, right?
Mhm.
And that's what they rely on, your expertise in order to do that. So, PayTraQer is a really neat application when you're needing to bring some sales transactions and some of that detail. And it's one of the few ones that I've seen, especially with other um, payment processors or payment gateways, to really look at it in a holistic sense. Um, where like we use it because we have a payment processor through Stripe, right? So we don't do sales through Stripe. That's just the payment processor. But
Yep.
Stripe is like PayPal is one of those hybrid types of things. They have there's Stripe checkout. You can have it as a shopping cart sort of thing, but then it can also be a payment gateway for
Yeah.
something else. In which case, your payment or your sales is being tracked by the shopping cart, and then the payment gateway is really just a matter of bringing
Yeah, and I
bringing
think
those
that,
funds.
like, the way that you just said that is the trickiest concept for a lot of people to understand is you can invoice from Stripe or you can just use it as the mechanism to collect the payment. And man,
Right.
it's tricky.
Yeah. So let me share my screen here, and I am apologize right before I just noticed I'm on the wrong network here. So if it is choppy or there's latency, I apologize for that. I didn't want to switch it uh, while we were about to go live, so I would have left Rachel in the dust there. We didn't want to see that. Excuse me. I'll get a little choked up. So, So I've got PayTraQer up here, and this is kind of what it looks like. Now I'm only using it for Stripe integration. So, but the nice part about it is, I put it. Oh, now I've lost myself here. I'm gonna throw. Where'd it go? QR code. So you can check it out here. I put a little QR code there. You want to scan that with your phone. It'll take you to PayTraQer's website. You can really kind of check that out. And also, I did put it in the. I can't click on it. There's too many things here. All right. So let's go over here. We'll throw this up here. So this is just kind of giving you an idea of what it connects to. So all of those things of Stripe and PayPal, Clover, Authorize.net, Shopify, Braintree. Have you ever seen a
we work with Braintree, definitely. It's a PayPal product. By the way, we use it for a client that is on Wix because it connects to Wix, and he's also dealing with, I think, PayPal and Square. So, so we've got a few different things going on that can cause duplication. So it actually works really great.
Yeah. So these are the integrations that PayPal would connect to: PayPal, Square, Stripe, Braintree, Authorize.net, Shopify, Clover, PIN payments. Never heard of that.
I've never heard of that. But by the way, you just said that all these that PayPal will connect to. I thought you meant to say
PayTraQer. Yeah. Yes. Sorry.
That's okay.
Too many pays in in the sentence. Even the Walmart marketplace connects.
Something I'd like to know if it's a regular Walmart or Walmart marketplace, because those two are very, very different.
Well, we can click on the link there.
Ew, like regular Walmart.
Regular Walmart.
Oh, damn, that's going to go on my tracking sheet. That is a big deal because a lot of these don't do regular Walmart. They will only do Walmart Marketplace.
I'm just trying to take a look. There's videos in here, and you can watch the videos of how that actually integrates. But just kind of looking at the back end here, this is kind of where things come in. You can set up automation so that it automatically will post. You can set up customizations and rules so that if you want things to be coded to a specific item based on certain conditions, you can do that. You can put in class tracking, those types of things, all within the application. But let's go back, and then you've got your general settings that you can map things to. But let's go back into our previous synced or sank. What's the past tense of sync? Is it sank?
Synced, yeah.
Or synced? Synced, as they say it here, synced.
Synced. Is that what you said?
Right. Synced. I would say it's sank.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the past tense of troubleshooting. Anywho, but here it's got the subscription payment, the expenses that are tracked to it, and then the bank payout. So it's like the holistic, from the sale to the bank payout and the bank reconciliation. One of the few,
by the way,
that actually does all of that.
The payout element is really important because that's what'll give you the bank match in the bank feeds.
Yeah, exactly. So when you've set this up, and you can set it up for PayPal, you can set it up for Stripe, you can set it up for any of those channels there, it will post those transactions appropriately. Now, one thing that I don't know of any other integrator, sales connector, maybe Rachel, is that, like in this particular case, we do subscriptions, right, on School of Bookkeeping, and there's an additional charge for that because it's a recurring payment, right? So like the original sale has a an expense to it, but then the recurring payment has an additional expense to it,
You mean
and
that
that's
the processor is charging you, or that you are
yeah,
charging the client?
no, that the processor, in this case Stripe, charges an extra half a percent when the payment is a subscription, right?
Dang. Okay, hold on. Time out. I got to add that to my notes so I can add that to my tracking sheet.
Hold on. And this is one of the few integrators that I've seen will do that, right?
That'll show that.
That'll actually capture that extra charge. Now Bookkeep does it, but they do everything through a journal entry. So
Yeah,
you know
that'll
you're
all be
not
in
going
the
to
consolidation. You won't be able to
right.
see that.
And I have a Stripe connector or someone who is using solely Stripe as a checkout, and they're just concerned about the general ledger. So Bookkeep was a great option
Yeah.
for that. Um, but they do subscriptions, and I knew about the extra charge of that, and the way that it's reconciled through Bookkeep is if you didn't see the transaction, you wouldn't know, right?
Right.
Because they pull out their extra fees, the subscription fees on the payout side of things, not on the sales side of things. So
Right.
it was it was an initial learning with that to make sure that it actually did reconcile, but it does, right? And
Yeah.
they do a good job of that. But
Oh, I
if,
love Bookkeep for that, by the way.
if you're not knowing when it's going to be assessed and when it's going to be taken out, um, a summary journal entry like that is a little hard to unpack and just
Yeah.
to make sure that that is actually coming through when that occurs. But here we see the specific transaction, we see the expense. You can match that with your Stripe if you have access to the Stripe account or the checkout account, whatever that happens to be, and then confirm that that is indeed the case. They give you the ability to see the details over on the right side, so you can see the transaction, what it posted,
Love
and even
that.
open it to QuickBooks right from there, assuming that you're logged into your QuickBooks and the right company at that time. So it is a really neat um, application, and it's relatively inexpensive
Hmm.
uh, in relation to the other ones that are out there. But again, you want to understand where it fits in, right? So if it is just if you're trying to solve for a payment gateway issue, this may not be your integrator of choice, simply because you may have that payment gateway might be associated with multiple sales channels, and that's just going to get things more complicated and convoluted. So, speaking of complicated and convoluted, good segue into the pricing changes that were just
Yay.
announced. So we want to unpack that, and we're going to unpack this, and there's a lot more. I just want to preface that there's more that we don't know than what we do know. But this article here, and I'm going to make sure that people have the ability to see that. So this Firm of the Future article is going to be the source of truth with regards to um, pricing changes and frequently asked questions. Um, so, first thing we want to unpack is what's happening, right? So here we are in June, the end of into its fiscal year is the end of July. So here we are seeing the email that comes out announcing pricing increases. So what's actually happening? And they try to frame it and do that sort of thing up front. Trying to give you an understanding as to why these changes are taking place, and yeah, here's all these new features and key enhancements and blah blah blah. But when you get down to it, right? So what's changing with regards to QuickBooks Online? You're going to see monthly subscriptions increase across the board from self-employed to from self-employed, Simple Start, Essentials, Plus, and Advanced. Solopreneur is not mentioned in here, or QuickBooks Ledger. So those things don't show an increase here. But
Do you
pretty
think
much
that that
everything.
means that those things won't have an increase, or that the I don't know. What do you think about that? Because I'm actually pretty interested in using Ledger for some
Yeah.
smaller clients.
Well, that is targeted specifically to accountants. So that is going to likely not be affected by this, especially
Okay,
because it was brand new,
I see.
and it's only accountant billed, right?
Right,
So,
I see.
and then the customer can't purchase QuickBooks Ledger. So, I imagine this is going to be spared until something else occurs.
Okay.
So, everything's $5 up until Plus, which becomes $9, and then Advanced goes up $35. Which in fairness, Advanced got most of the key enhancements, so it does make a little bit more sense that becomes the biggest increase. They don't have the annual prices here, but that's one kind of best practice, or at least ways to kind of subvert the price increase, is switch from monthly to annual if you can. If you switch from monthly to annual before this date of August 1st, then you will be locked in at the current annual pricing at today's rates, which you actually get a couple months out of the deal when you do that. So
Yeah.
you're pushing down the price increase until a year from now, if that's possible.
I always try and do that if
Yeah.
I'm able to do that. It's a really big savings.
Yes. And then there's some frequently asked questions in there, and that will the biggest question that a lot of people come up with is, well, I'm in a promotional period. Will this increase when I'm in a promo? So people who just purchased a QuickBooks and started, and they got some kind of promotional period. Uh, the pricing stays intact for the remainder of that promotional period, whatever it happens to be. So if they purchase today and they get a year discount, it will stay at that pricing until that promotion expires, and then um, whatever applicable base rate would be, that's when that kicks in. So once a promotion expires, that's when the new pricing will kick in. So even if it's after August 1st, which is the day for new subscriptions and existing client build subscriptions, we'll start with this new pricing. That won't happen until the promotion expires, whatever that happens to be. If you're doing the accountant build, then that is September 1st. When after that, when you'll see an increase there. QuickBooks Online is getting a price increase as well. Base rates are going up $5 across the board for core, premium, and elite, and the employee surcharge for premium and elite is going up $1. So each active employee that you have on premium and elite will get an increase of $1. Also, promotional pricing applies there. So if you're in a promo period, then that will be dealing with that. The big news is QuickBooks Desktop, which has seen an exponential increase over the past couple years, and likely it's on purpose to force folks to have this conversation of, okay, well, if cost is an issue, then look at QuickBooks Online, right?
Yeah.
Um, Last year it increased from, I think it was $100 from 549 for Pro Plus and Mac Plus to 649. Now it's going from 649 to 999, and that is a single user license uh, of
Wow.
of Pro. All right, um, which is quite a shock. especially to anyone who was on 2021 who just now upgraded to the latest uh, 2024, now having to a subscription. When that renews, they're going to see quite an increase of 9.99 the following year.
Can I ask you a quick question though, Dan, before you
Yeah.
go forward? Does this mean because they're not selling any new subscriptions, so this would be like if somebody bought one in 2023 or up to July in 2024, this is the renewal of that annually,
Yeah.
not a new one in post July 2024, but to keep their yearly subscription to the previous one that they bought.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is, so when will this new price for desktop go into effect? Is the first question, which is those prices are changing on or after October 1st. So
Okay.
if they purchased prior to that date, it's whatever, whatever the cost will be at that point. After October 1st, that's when this new pricing will take into effect, which
Mhm.
will typically be a renewal, right?
Yeah.
Renewal for a Pro Plus or Premier Plus, which
But I
Premier
wonder why
Plus,
they're doing October 1st because I thought they said as of July they're not
that's
selling
that's my
any.
next
Oh,
note here.
sorry.
The
I get ahead of myself.
it's like you're teeing me up, right?
Or maybe I'm
Um,
just like I just zero in on the
yeah.
important
Well,
information.
the stop sell date of new Pro Plus and Premier Plus subscriptions, which I want to mention, Premier Plus is getting a significant increase as well, going from 9.49 to 13.99
Ouch.
for a single user promote Premier Plus subscription. That's a $350, right? No, $450, and that's just a single user license. So if they have 5 users, I don't know what the per user cost would be. In the past it was $300, um, but it may that may change either change as well. Actually, I have a meeting right after the workshop, so if you have specific questions that you want me to ask, please put them in the chat, and I'll be able to pass those along and hopefully get those answered.
Oh, you're meeting with
But
Intuit about that?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
So they heard the feedback, and they've made a change, which now change on top of all of the changes is just making for more of a mess of trying to understand what the source of truth is. The
Yeah.
stop sell date for I can't say it because there's too many P's. Pro Plus and Premier Plus was going to be uh, July 31st. They've extended that to September 30th. So
Oh,
they will
wow.
continue to
You can
sell
do it.
they will continue to sell Pro Plus and Premier
They're
Plus
so generous
subscriptions
for that.
until September 30th now. Um, and
Aw.
those won't be at the new pricing. That'll be at the existing pricing up until that date.
Yeah.
So nice of them to give a little more extension on that. Um, Desktop Accountant is not immune uh, to that. So they're getting a pricing increase as well. Desktop Accountant is getting a $200 increase. Pro Advisor bundle, where you have the Desktop Premier Accountant, is getting a $200 increase as well. And if you happen to have the Enterprise bundle, that is getting a $300 increase. So enjoy that.
Mhm.
This one is one of the, I think, the sneakier sneak it in with while people are still reeling from the above news, right? Enterprise is is getting not a price increase but a removal of discounts,
Mm.
which is essentially a pricing increase.
Yeah.
So if you have whoops, I was trying to highlight this. If you have a client who is currently, um, brought to Intuit through you as a pro advisor, you do get a bundle. I'm sorry, you do get them a discount, which from 1 to 10 seats is 20% lifetime off of the MSRP, right? So can't can't dictate the actual price, but the discount is a lifetime discount. Above 11 seats, it's 12.5%. The new price on additional enterprise subscriptions, which we'll talk about what that actually means, there's no discount off of the MSRP, right? So if they make a change to their subscription, they go from silver to platinum or silver to gold after this date of October 1st, there will be no discount on their subscription for enterprise. If they are in a situation where they do have a discount on their subscription and they make a change at this date, it's considered to be a new subscription and no discount. So, what are those changes? Going from silver to platinum or going from silver to gold, any flavor changes, right? Like I'm adding new parts to my subscription. That's considered to be a new subscription, and adding seats is considered to be a new subscription as well. So if they have a 5 user license of platinum and they need a 6 user license of platinum after October 1st of 2024, that is considered to be a new subscription, no discount. So it may be not cost effective for them to do that because they're going to lose their discount and have to pay an increase on their subscription. Now, if they're lowering it, that may be another story, right? So it may be
Yeah.
cost effective to do that, right?
And
And
then
they have
not to you know, like be a Debbie Downer, but that is still just desktop software. So
yeah,
again, then you're also going to have to pay for, cloud hosting, for if
yep,
anybody else needs to remote into that desktop software.
hmm yes, and there's various other frequently asked questions. Can I renew a suspended enterprise subscription? Yes, you can. But if it's past the grace period, which is 30 days after it lapses, it's considered a new subscription, so that discount wouldn't apply. But these are the things that would consider to be um, changing of your subscription that would be considered to be a new subscription. So changing the number of seats, upgrading or downgrading to a different enterprise SKU.
Yeah.
Again, this is all after that date of October 1st, right? Do all this stuff in September if you want, right? And you still have it's not a new subscription. All right. So desktop payroll pricing. So this is no, they no longer actively sell enhanced payroll or basic payroll, but if you are on a subscription that has that, that's getting a facelift too for pricing, which is enhanced, which is what most people would have. Enhanced payroll was $550 annually. That's the base price, and $6 per active employee. Is going to $700 annually, or $70 monthly, with a $7 per employee per month charge. So significant increase for enhanced payroll customers as well. There is a legacy. There was a pricing matrix that they had for number of masks. That's also getting an increase as well. That's here. Um, you may or may not have any clients on that. This is another one that is a lot of again, kind of sneaking it in there as well.
Yeah.
Enhanced payroll for accountants, which is no longer actively being sold, um, it is getting a tremendous increase.
And this
If
would be for accountants that are doing payroll for their clients.
right,
Yes.
yeah, this is the 50 EIN subscription
Yeah.
option, right? Where it allows you to do after the fact payroll. It's a function inside of QuickBooks Desktop. You can
Yeah.
go in if they're doing an outside payroll service and they just want it to match after the fact payroll is a really great way to do that because it will calculate after the fact, as the name implies. It's not needing, and it's very spreadsheet esque, which is allows you to just kind of go through the employees put in their gross pay, and it will calculate after that, as opposed to running payroll
Yeah.
in QuickBooks Desktop. But doing that a la carte, if you had that subscription, it was $1,400. That was the last upgrade cost, and $4 for the direct deposit fee. Which, if you paid people by paper check, this didn't exist, right? So
Right.
it was only for direct deposit. So any paycheck that was direct deposit was a $4 charge. If you paid weekly, that's $16 a month, or 4.3 weeks. Figuring that out, right? That's now almost doubling. Well, I mean, it is doubling. The base charge is now going to $2,800 annually for that, just having that subscription, and the direct deposit fee is increasing as well. So you get a dollar increase out of that. If you have bundled it with your Pro Advisor membership, which is getting an increase as well. We've already discussed that. So on top of that, you get a 50% off the MSRP off of the base, right? So what was $1,400 is now uh, $700. After the increase of $2,800, you're getting a 50% discount off of that, which brings you back down to $1,400. So for 50 EINs, breaking that out per client, maybe not so much, but if you only have like 5 clients on this, that is a huge per cost, per
Yeah.
company cost. And you don't get around the $5 direct deposit. So you still have to pay the $5 direct deposit fee, no discount off of that. Oh, and payments is not immune to this price increase, but only desktop payments. So um, in the past, or currently, I'll just say currently, desktop ACH charges was a flat $3 charge. So you send somebody an invoice out of QuickBooks Desktop, they paid through the bank transfer ACH. That was just a flat $3 per transaction. What is currently happening, or for new customers and existing customers, it is now changing to 1% for new customers, and existing customers are getting 1% with a cap of 15 or less per transaction. So um, consistent with the QuickBooks Online standard pricing.
Yeah.
Um, so if you're familiar with how the ACH works inside of QuickBooks Online bank transfers, it's consistent with that, right? So, but again, if people were using um, QuickBooks Desktop to receive ACH payments and familiar with $3, that's not what's going to be moving forward. It's going to have a 1%, and if they're existing, they have a cap of $15 per transaction, right? So what that boils down to is if all of their charges are less than $1,500, then it's going to be 1%. Only if they have a charge that's over $1,500 would it then be capped, because that's the threshold for that per transaction. It doesn't mean they have 5 transactions of $500, uh, capping that at $15. No, all of those are 1%, because they're less than the per transactional rate of $15. So that's a lot to unpack. And any questions on that, please, refer to this article. They're probably addressed in there. Just bear in mind that uh, the audience that or the who's speaking to you here is Intuit, so they're going to have um, the Intuit esque or the Intuit ease spin on it.
Yeah. We heard you.
Yeah. Um, but if you have any specific questions, if you're watching this later, put them in the comments. Uh, we will uh, we will try to interpret that as best we can, to through Intuit, and answer it in general terms. Any thoughts from you, Rachel, after seeing all of these changes? Uh, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I understand why they're doing it. I mean, they have goals they have to hit. I mean, this is a corporation selling software. So I'm not shocked. For me, I think what kind of just bothers me is wait a second. Is this like pretty frequently at the same time every single year? Is this usually once a year?
Yeah, we had this. We had a work. I mean, our workshop last year was
Okay.
right around June.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
So I mean, it seems to be expected yearly. And I mean, I think the alarming thing is that, this will just continue every
mhm,
single year to what, end. I'm not entirely sure. I then am forced to increase my pricing to cover this. And, it's not necessarily a pleasant thing to have to do, but I don't think that it comes as any kind of shock or surprise. But, this is a software corporation that, they have stockholders to share to.
mhm,
And I mean, not to share to, but to answer to. And so they have to increase their bottom line through different divisions. And so, they ask the question like, can we increase our subscription pricing? I mean, and I'm sure that the reason that they switched to subscription pricing was so they can build in, annual price increases. And I'm sure this was decided on several years ago, because this type of thing is decided years in advance of, how they're going to strategically
yeah,
increase costs. So I'm not shocked or surprised at it. I mean, the people that it really hurts are the smaller businesses, and then, people like me that I have to then deliver the news to my clients and let them know that the price is increasing. So I don't really do wholesale billing anymore because I prefer my clients to put in their credit card and pay for it on their own, just because of this reason. I don't want to have to constantly feel like I'm responsible to explain it to them. But but then again, I still have to, communicate and let them know, because then, I'm the person that they usually come to and ask, even if they're
right.
being billed, why is this increase? And so it's almost like, if I am being asked questions about Intuit's business practices and I am expected to answer the questions, then
Mhm.
I would appreciate a little more support with the Pro Advisor program that it seems like they're
Yeah.
sort of supporting less and less. So that's my only take on it is,
Mhm.
I'm happy to represent Intuit in the ways that make sense. But, it doesn't seem like they're supporting Pro Advisors very much anymore.
Yeah, we're kind of that kind of community. That community is just kind of in between, right? Between the
Yeah.
client and Intuit. And my tenure there, when I worked there, the last 3 or 4 years, I felt like a professional apologizer, right?
Yeah.
Like I, I mean, there were things that were decisions that were made that I didn't necessarily agree with, but had to support, right?
Yeah.
In that terms, and it was, I was either a sounding board for someone, to provide the feedback, to the right place, and please do that, right? Like if you have feedback, there's plenty of opportunity and channels to be able to do that, and to into its credit, they do respond to enough, right? When there's enough people saying, "Hey, July 31st is not enough time," to make sure that everybody's on the
Yeah.
subscriptions that they want. They do make changes, right? And they do respond to that feedback, but they need to respond to they got to prioritize the feedback to respond to. Just because you said this sucks doesn't mean that they're going to make a global change that affects everybody
Yeah.
else. right?
Well, and also
Mhm.
I have to tell you that like when I first became a pro advisor about 5 years ago, I was really gung ho of like all things Intuit, yay. And I'll do all of the things in the accounting software. And now that I'm much more app savvy, um, I ran into an issue the other day with one of my clients that were doing some more advanced reporting. And I hit my class limit and I told her, I was like, don't upgrade. I'll just pull this all out of QuickBooks and I'll crunch it in a different way, outside of QuickBooks. And I'm more inclined to do that now because I feel like, well, I don't need to upsell. You know what I mean? They don't seem to care that, I'm in a position to upsell. But, that's what I told my client. I said, don't worry about upgrading to advanced. We don't need that. And I know they're increasing the price anyway. And, I'm going to be doing a lot more of that because I'm getting much more into, advanced reporting and profitability and things like that, especially as I'm dealing more with manufacturing. And this client isn't, she's a service provider, but we still want to look at profitability by campaign and things like that. And, this is stuff that, if you're a little bit more savvy than, just what QuickBooks can do, and you're more of a financial professional, I mean, you can just export it and deal with it elsewhere. So I'm more inclined now to leave, not leave, but pull it outside of QuickBooks and not bother and have my
Yeah,
clients use a lower
lower
tier,
level.
as
Yeah,
a lower subscription level, because it's not really necessary. I don't need to use all the bells and whistles on that, and they don't want to pay the price of advanced. Now, I know how they'll answer. Well, we see at least advance, it's a premium product, and we're looking at its positioning in the marketplace as opposed to something like a NetSuite and something like that. It's very comparable in pricing, and I get that because it is. But I'm also an Intuit, I mean a QuickBooks focused firm, and
hmm,
so as I'm I'm pushing those products. And so, and if I'm only an Intuit centered firm, they're gonna focus on price increase, price increase. So now I'm feeling like my new strategy, and I can't do it right now because, as I've told you guys before, I'm getting my master's. But when I'm done, I would like to diversify in accounting softwares and use a couple because this being an Intuit centered firm, it's really difficult to have to be that
yeah,
gatekeeper.
yeah. It's putting you in a position where you're getting sandwiched between Intuit shenanigans and the needs of your client.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
guess what else?
you're even getting like, I've gotten a number of emails already asking people to, or people asking me to interpret this email, right,
Yeah.
or this news. They're like, what do I do? And that's again, not something that either people, either entities really care about, right? Like and that's part of the challenge that the accounting community that is Intuit focused or Intuit centric is feeling that pressure.
Yeah. I'm
And
not going to be Intuit
it's like,
centric anymore.
yeah, I
And
mean that, and I
go ahead.
think that, well, I think that's part of my curiosity of this is that, I'm looking at this and going like, all right, well, when is the tipping point of when I am not into it focused, and like you looking to diversify? Okay, there's other players that are out there,
Yeah.
Zero, Accounting Suite, Zoho. What when is it that you when does it tip the scale of like, okay, I've had enough of these shenanigans? But then the flip side of that coin is I'm gonna have to learn something else, right? And then we have, I have this mindset or philosophy of like, the grass is always greener where you water it, right?
Yeah.
So we
But
look at,
listen, I'll
okay, well,
tell
what
you.
else is out there? They've got some gophers in their grass too.
Yeah, that's
Nobody's
true. But
perfect.
But like, I'll tell you, I mean, I've used different accounting softwares in the past, lots of different accounting softwares, and they're not exactly the same, but they're similar. And so what I was going to say is, for somebody like us, the connector apps that we use now, they connect to all of those accounting softwares. I see it. Like, now we connect to Sage Intacct. Now we connect to Zoho Books. So I'm like, great, as long as my tools can connect into all of those things. And not only that, like I said, I've only been a pro advisor for 5 years. So it's not like like you or a lot of other folks that I've met in this community, they're the greatest people ever, but they've been sort of shackled to Intuit for so long that it feels wrong to sever ties. For me, I'm like, I've only been a pro advisor for 5 years. So
Yeah,
if
I
this
mean,
is like
I see a lot of people posting about, okay, it's my time. This is my turn
yeah,
it's my cue to retire.
yeah, exactly. So I mean,
I'm
for me,
not
I'm more like,
willing to
yeah, for me,
transition.
I'm more like, well, let me just keep it as one of the solutions I'm going to use. Now, I don't, like you just said, I don't have the time right now to learn a different one. But I'll tell you what, it's not going to take a long time to learn a different accounting software. There'll be a little bit of a learning curve and whatnot, but and like and I don't use Zero, but a couple people have told me that, oh, Zero is just a little different when you're doing this or that or that, and I'm like, okay, I need to sit down and look at it, but I don't. That at the end of the day, I don't think it's prohibitively complicated. It's just that I need to be able to invest the time to
Right.
to get on board with it and implement it, and explain to new potential clients, okay, well, I've got this and I've got that. If they're the kind of potential client that's like, I'm brand new, I've kind of been doing this in Excel, and now I need an accounting software, I need to outsource this out to you. You pick. Well, guess what?
Hmm.
I want to have a couple different ones that I'm trained in and my staff is trained in, and maybe we jump to something else. And if I'm doing that, I'm sure other people are thinking that way too.
Yeah. Well, we could go on and on about about this
Yeah, and
topic.
my son is over here giving me notes now, so
It's time to wrap it up.
sorry.
So we're actually going to take a break. Rachel and I are going to be at Scaling New Heights next week,
Yep.
which I'm wondering if this timing of this news is purposeful, right? Because they're not going into it's not attending the Scaling New Heights conference, so
Oh, they're not.
accountants, no accountants at Scaling New Heights, because they don't attend conferences where they're not the only
Oh, okay. Well, good. Then I'll
accounting
get some more
software.
information about Zero.
Right, because Zero will be there and Zoho will be
Yeah,
there.
Zoho, I
They
think
don't
will
want
be
to be
there too.
they don't want to be there. So that may be part of the timing of all of this.
Yeah.
Who knows? But we're gonna take a break. Next week we're gonna have a live replay, so we'll still have the workshop. It just won't be live like this. It'll be a replay of something that we've done before, and then we'll pick up with more PayPal shenanigans after that, where we'll talk about the multi currency uh, stuff on that side of things. And hopefully, I sent out a request to Bookkeep to talk about PayPal best practices. So hopefully they'll be joining us as well
Oh,
in
cool.
the next
Yeah.
coming weeks as well.
Yeah.
So all of that good stuff. Hopefully, let us know in the comments your concerns or questions, and we'll follow up with that, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time on the Workshop Wednesday. Hope you all have a great day.
Bye.